We're now joined by number 8 ranked UFC welterweight Michael Chiesa, and we'll take our first set of questions from Gabriel Gonzalez with Cateside Press.
Hello, Michael. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. I wanted to ask you, I heard your interview where you spoke that, your ultimate goal is being a commentator and how you've grown as an analyst. My question, what are you most proud of about how you've grown with your skills on camera?
Just my ability to deliver the facts and my points of view. I mean, that can be very hard to articulate. The things that you studied and the things you want to say can be very hard to articulate when you have a camera in your face and somebody talking to you through an earpiece. So my ability to articulate and say the things I want to say and give and deliver them the way that I want them to be heard, I'm very proud of that. But don't be mistaken, my ultimate goal is not commentary. My ultimate goal is to become a world champion. I think the commentary thing is going to happen along that path. So but yeah, just my ability to be comfortable and articulate the things I want to say is something I'm very proud of.
Gotcha. With all of the hospitality on Fight Island, does it feel like you're on vacation, or do you still get the same level of nerves like a typical fight week where you don't get all of the writing on the hotel, mirror and everything?
No, this feels like a fight week, and when I was here back in October, I came here and I got a feel for how Fight Island was, and I definitely envisioned myself fighting here, and I'm glad that I'm getting the opportunity to do that. It feels right, it feels good, and it's great to have like my teammates along for the ride. But yeah, it definitely feels like a fight week. Is luxurious as this place is, the amenities that it has to offer. Even though we're cooped up in this hotel, I mean, this hotel is world class. They're taking great care of us. They put this, they did this cool like chocolate setup with. They made like a chocolate me and a chocolate Neil Magny and a chocolate octagon and stuff. And they set it up in your room, and the writing's on the mirror. It's so great. You know what I mean? But I know I have a job to do. I'm very focused on the task at hand.
Going back a little bit to the broadcast side of things, after the fight, are you planning to stick around and do some work for the McGregor fight, or are you going to be going right home?
They don't have me doing any work for the McGregor fight. I'm going to be headed straight home. It's been a good camp. I'm eager to get home. I want to get this win, and I want to go back and see my family. But if duty calls, if they needed me, I didn't bring a suit, so they would just have to go bring in a tailor and give me a suit. So you never know. This is the year of opportunity in the mixed martial arts world, or this is the era of opportunity in the mixed martial arts world. So if someone falls off, someone gets COVID, they need someone to step in, work the desk. They just got to give me a tailor and give me a suit. I'd jump in there, but I have plans on going home after I win this fight.
Final question. You said you don't expect it to look pretty against Neil Magny, but when you get out there, how are you going to get the job done?
Just going to get the job done by just executing everything I've done in my training. If I do that, I have a very clear path to victory, and I have a lot of skills to showcase. I have a lot of tools a lot of tools in my arsenal. So it's just all about stay focused and just execute. And I think I should have it should be smooth sailing. It won't be pretty, but I'll get the job done. I mean, it's hard to look good against a guy like Neil Magny. I mean, he's super tough. He's super durable. He's well-rounded. You know what I mean? So you can't expect to go have a highlight reel performance against a guy that's as skilled as he is. So, I'm prepared to walk through the fire. I know what kind of pressure he brings, but pressure makes diamonds. And I know I have what it takes to beat this guy.
Hey, thank you, Michael, and good luck.
Thank you.
We'll take our next set of questions from Sumit Data with Sportskeeda.
Hey, Mike, good to see you back again. I'm starting to assume you've become quite a regular on the Fight Island by this point. Could you tell us a little bit about your overall experience out there so far?
I love it, man. The W Hotel is like becoming my second home, and I'm not mad about it. It's awesome here. I love being out here on Fight Island. I love the energy. I love the environment. The hospitality here is great. And Abu Dhabi is got a special place in my heart at this point. I've spent, in the last 12 months, this is my third time coming to Abu Dhabi, second time coming to Fight Island. And, this place has grown on me. It's got a special place in my heart, and I enjoy coming back here. I hope that I'm excited for the world to get back to normal, to where we can have fans all around the world in all the arenas and all the different countries. I'm looking forward to that. But until that day comes, I will happily oblige to come out here to Fight Island, whether it's to work the desk as an analyst or to compete. I will happily come out here. You will not have to twist my arm. I love it here.
Now, you've worked as an analyst on this place before as well. Is there any significant difference that you possibly feel when you visit the island as an analyst and now as a fighter, of course?
No, I'm actually enjoying it fairly the same. I mean, the hummus at this hotel is great. The food is awesome. So there's certain things I can't enjoy right now because I got to focus on the fight. But, when I came here the first time back in October, I definitely, once I got here and got a feel for the environment, I was like, I could see myself having a fight week here. This is a place I want to compete. And I'm glad it came to fruition. I'm glad I'm out here, getting ready for the biggest fight of my life. It feels very right. It's good to be out here. Good to be out here having a fight week. Just can't enjoy. It's really the only thing I can't enjoy is the food, which the food is good. But once I win this fight on the 20th, I can eat all the food I want. It'll taste that much sweeter when I get to eat it coming off a win. So it's really the only thing that I can't really partake in. But other than that, it's business as usual.
So speaking of the 20th, initially you and Neil Magny were set to co-main event this card, but of course then Khamzat Chimaev and Leon Edwards was supposed to be the main event. Now, you've sort of had it back and forth with Chimaev in the past. We've seen the clips. Do you feel that it is kind of disrespectful to you and Magny to initially being booked as the co-main event over someone who is ranked below than you?
Well, there's a missing part to that question, Leon Edwards. I don't look at Leon Edwards. I don't look at Hamza as the reason why that was the main event. Me and Neil were. I look at it the fact that it was Leon Edwards. That's a guy who's on a tremendous win streak, a guy that arguably should be in a title fight. So I don't look at it like disrespectful, like, oh, Hamzat's in a main event and we're not. It's like, well, it's not disrespectful to me because Hamzat's fighting Leon Edwards, and that's the guy that, in my opinion, is the number one contender. So no disrespect at all. You know what I mean? It just so happens that Leon's person he got matched up against was Khamzat Chimaev. So, and there was no bickering or back and forth anything between me and Chimaev. We met each other coming off an elevator. Super nice guy, and DC being the instigator he is, was like, oh, you guys are in the same weight class, you should fight. And then we took those videos. It was fun. He's a good guy, but no disrespect for the fact that Chimaev was in the main event and me and Neil were the co-main. And I think they also did it for a reason. I think also maybe they put us in the co-main in case something happened to that main event. And it held true. It's just the only difference is one of us didn't get plucked from the co-main event. We got pushed to the top. So it kind of worked out for the best.
So speaking of the fight, of your fight, personally, what are your thoughts on this matchup and your thoughts on Neil Magny as an opponent?
He's an awesome guy. He's a tough competitor, very well-rounded, very skilled, good, very well-conditioned, comes from a good team. We've been kind of eyeing each other for a while. I mean, he's called me out after he's won fights. I've called him out after I've won fights. So it's just a fight that makes sense. I mean, I wanted to fight a higher-ranked guy after I beat RDA. And, COVID hits, the world gets put on pause. I have surgery, guys start fighting. And then once I was cleared and able to come back, he was the highest ranked guy, and it just made sense. I think that him and I were on a collision course to fight sooner or later, and no better time than now. We're both in our prime. We're both neck and neck in the rankings. So this is a good time for us to compete against each other, and may the best man win.
Well, I look forward to a fight midweek, and good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll take our next questions from Ezekiel Berganzi with Summons MMA.
Hello, Michael. How are you?
Good.
It's been a year since you last fought against RDA. So how was adapting to these unique circumstances for this fight against Neil Magny?
It really just boils down to preparation. I was able to address some injuries I'd had, and and now I'm healthier than I was before that fight. So it took a long camp, a lot of preparation, a lot of rounds, a lot of reps, and I'm ready to go. So the layoff will not be an issue. I'm not one of these guys. I don't believe in ring rust. I think that's a mental thing. So I'll be firing on all cylinders on the 20th.
And you said a couple of days ago that Neil Magny is a very well, you said recently that Neil Magny is a very well-rounded opponent, and you are going to take advantage of some aspect of your game that you think that you can, put over the edge against him. So which aspect do you think that you are better than him?
Well, I'm very confident in my ground skills, but that doesn't mean that that's going to be the only thing I'm relying on this fight. I have a full arsenal of tools that I can use in any mixed martial arts contest. So, I'm really just focused. I have a game plan. I have things set that we want to do. I feel like I have a clear path to victory, and it's just all about execution. So, I think I know I have the tools to beat this guy. So it's just all about staying focused and staying the course and execution.
Do you think that beating Neil Magny will put you on the top 5 on the welterweight division?
Yeah, I believe it will. I believe it'll get me or whoever wins, may the best man win. I believe it'll get one of us into the top 5. And it would be criminal for the winner not to be into the top 5. But I'm not focused on that stuff right now. I really just want to be focused on this fight and this fight only. And that's very important for me, this fight, is just be focused on Neil Magny, not be worried about what comes next, just be focused on what I got to do on the 20th.
And my last question is, did your job as an MMA analyst help you in your fighting game, like in the way you see yourself fighting, the way you comment or the way you articulate your knowledge about this sport? Did it help you at the time you need to step in the octagon?
Yeah, it definitely helps you. I mean, when my life revolves around this sport already. So when I have this new job that requires me to study fights and do it in a way that I hadn't done before, it helps sharpen my mind. So it definitely benefits me to be working as an analyst and analyzing these fights from a different perspective. It definitely is a beneficial thing for me going forward, especially when it comes to preparing for a fight and watching film and breaking guys down. It's definitely beneficial. And, it's my first fight after working as an analyst for so long. So got to prove it.
Thank you, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
We'll take our next set of questions from Jay Anderson with Gateside Press.
Mike, welcome back. Appreciate the time today. I want to go back, first of all, to that start you had in the welterweight division where you rattle off 3 wins, you're on this big head of steam, and then the pandemic hits and you need surgery. I mean, how frustrating was it to be on the sidelines and watch a guy like Gilbert Burns take advantage of the, like you call it, the era of opportunity, knowing that potentially you could have been in that spot?
It was very frustrating. It wasn't even really... good for Gilbert Burns. I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he was able to capitalize on what was going on and take these fights and perform well and get himself in the position that he's in because he deserves it. He's an awesome fighter. And, there was no frustration. It was just I was more, as simple as it sounds, I was just sad. You know what I mean? Like the pandemic hits and, and I have surgery and I'm just kind of at a standstill. I wasn't super frustrated. I was just kind of sad. I was just in a rut, you know what I mean? And I kind of felt like the sport was like starting to pass me by a little bit. And I was having these very weird thoughts, but I think that just everybody around the world is having weird thoughts when you're stuck at home and you can't do your job. You can start to think some weird things. So, I was just kind of more in a saddened state than I was frustrated, but, I was able to pull out of that and I can thank the UFC for that because it was honestly getting the surgery, starting to recover, and mainly getting the opportunity to work as an analyst got me back in the game, got me back in the sport, and just kind of got me out of those dark days. You know what I mean? It's like gave me a purpose again, So, it was trying times for everybody around the world. But, I wasn't frustrated that guys like Gilbert Burns were able to make it happen and seize these opportunities and make the most of them. So I was just more I was just kind of bummed, really, really bummed.
When you talk about like dark days and weird thoughts, were you kind of questioning whether or not you'd be able to make it back either because of, the injury or just the craziness in the world?
It was the injury. the surgery didn't go great at all. What I was told is it was going to be a half hour to a 45-minute procedure, and it turned out to be 6.5 hours. My leg was just humongous, black and blue from my butt cheek down to my foot. My leg was black. It was a lot of trauma. And, even when the trauma started to go down, having mobility issues, just a laundry list of problems I was having. There was no question that I would ever if I would ever be able to compete again. It was just the when. It was like, how long is it going to be before I can, my leg is good enough to come back and get back to competition. And, fortunately it came around, and I'm healthier than I've ever been. I mean, it's such a cliche thing to say, I have the best camp of my life. Everybody says that every time you prepare for a fight, you feel like you had the best camp of your life. But I can honestly say this is the healthiest I've been. This is the healthiest I've been going into a fight. This is a lingering injury I needed to address a long time ago. We're talking over 10 years ago. And it just kept getting worse and worse. So to have that done and behind me, I'm healthier than I've ever been. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to fight.
Well, it's good to have you back. And the way it's worked out, this is your first main event since 2017 when you fought Kevin Lee. Obviously a different weight class, but how different is your mindset coming into this main event from that one, years ago?
Well, I mean, we all saw what the buildup for that fight was like. So just that alone is a 9-day difference from that main event to this one. And, it's a lot less stress. Those cuts to 155 were very stressful, a lot of stress on the mind, a lot of stress on the body, very stressful for my team. Where now it's so much more focused on the fight, and it's just the way it should be. And knowing that if they potentially go 2 extra rounds, I don't know if my body could have sustained that at 155 pounds. I don't know how that would have played out. But being in this weight class, I'm able to push my body more in my training. I'm able to absorb knowledge more. And, I think that it's just more of a maturing process physically and mentally. So I'm in a better state physically and mentally than I was in 2017. I'm more than prepared to get this win on the 20. So it's definitely 9-day difference in the preparation and the buildup. But I think the biggest thing is the maturity. I'm a lot more mature than I was back then.
In terms of training, I mean, you called it the era of opportunity. The flip side is it might be the era of uncertainty in terms of fights falling through, opponents dropping out. We almost had the little scare with Khamzat, maybe Neil's going to go up. Does that do anything to how you prepared? You turn the focus inward more, knowing that you might not end up fighting who you were scheduled to.
Well, the good thing is, the landscape of this fight card, knowing that initially I'm the co-main event against Neil Magny, and the main event's Leon Edwards and Khamzat Chimaev. And just on that note, you saying it's also the era of uncertainty. It's like the way me and my coach broke it down. It's like, if Neil fall any way this fight, in terms of preparation between the 4 of us, between me, Neil, Khamzat, and Leon, it's like I'm going to prepare for Neil Magny. But if something happens and this fight gets shuffled on short notice, there's not a stark difference in how I would prepare differently if I got matched up with either 3 of those guys. I feel like my preparation would be fairly the same. So granted, there's a big level of uncertainty, especially when the verbal agreements were made for this fight. I was told hey, potentially, Neil might have to fill in if something happens to this main event, so the news breaks. I'm thinking I'm going to lose the Magny fight. But I feel like however these fights could have panned out, if things fell through or whatever this COVID has done to these matchups and these fight cards, I feel like between the main and co-main, my preparation wouldn't have been any different had I had to fight either guy. So I was kind of ready to fight whoever I would have had to. And I'm glad it panned out the way it did. I mean, it couldn't have worked out any better. I got to keep my opponent, and now we're in the main event. And I'm glad that this fell more to the side of opportunity than uncertainty.
Fair enough. And last one for me, like you said, the belt is the ultimate goal. Where does a win over Neil Magny put you in that conversation? Because it would make you 4 in a row undefeated at welterweight in the UFC.
Well, just off the top of my head, it's like, how would it not put me in the top 5? I think whoever wins this fight goes on to the top 5, but I'm not focusing on that. I'm usually a guy that's got an opponent in mind, if I'm going to call somebody out after I win. But I just put that to the wayside. I'm focused on Neil Magny and Neil Magny only. And I think that's the best move. That's the best way to move forward through this camp, through this preparation, is to not be thinking about the next guy. Just be focused on the task at hand. So I'm not even really thinking about what comes next after this fight. I'm focused on what I got to do on the 20th. And I think that that's very important.
All right. Well, best of luck on a rare Wednesday fight.
Thank you.
We'll take our last set of questions from Jordan Ellis with Low Kick MMA.
Hi, Mike. I just want to ask you about your experience of, being an analyst and covering these fights with no fans. Did that make you kind of curious to fight with no fans? Obviously, they're back this weekend. How do you feel about that?
It really wouldn't have made a difference, honestly. I was on The Ultimate Fighter for 3 months. I fought in the tough gym with minimal amount of people. So it didn't really, it wasn't something that really stuck out in my mind. And granted, I know that we're going to have fans in attendance on the 20th, but that's an 18,000 person arena. And to my understanding, they're only putting a couple thousand in, and they're very spaced out. So I think it'll almost have, I worked the desk in the Flash Forum, and it was like a much smaller arena. And I feel like being in the new arena with a small amount of people and such a big amount of space, I feel like it's going to feel more empty than the Flash Forum did. So nonetheless, it's not something that I really put too much thought into, whether there's 18,000 people filling all the seats or there's nobody there. A fight's a fight, and I'm going to be focused no matter what.
And just on your opponent, Magny, obviously you said this is the biggest fight of your career. It's a headline, and it potentially takes you into the top 5. But in terms of ability and the fights that you faced throughout your career, where do you rank Neil?
Skill-wise, he's one of the best. He's very well-rounded. Second in all-time wins at welterweight, and that speaks volumes for how good this guy is. He's beat a lot of really good guys. He's been in there with some of the best. Beat Kelvin Gastelum. He beat Robbie Lawler. He's beat a lot of really good guys. So, he's a formidable opponent. He's very well-rounded. He comes from a good camp. He presents a very stiff challenge. So, but that doesn't mean that I'm not the man fit for the job. So I believe I have the tools to get the job done and get the win on the 20th. So, I just got to go out there and execute, and I believe I'll get my hand raised.
Yeah, and you said earlier that the ultimate goal is to become champion. And what steps do you take to kind of avoid the side gig of being an analyst and kind of hampering that goal ultimately? Because we've seen Anthony Smith kind of say he felt he let it become a distraction. How do you avoid it being a distraction?
Well, the difference, I was just talking about this a little bit ago. The UFC wouldn't put us in positions that would compromise our fighting careers, because fighting is what's most important. So that's a personal thing. You have the decision to take this job or not. But for me, I don't have, I have a fiance, but I don't have kids at home. I don't have a lot of other things. I have just this sport. I have fighting, and that's it. I don't have a side business. I don't have a second job. Like my job has been fighting for 9 years. So for me to take on the role as an analyst, it offers no hindrance or it's no interference on my career. And I believe it's beneficial for me. I watch fights nonstop all the time as it is. If I'm bored and I have free time, I'll turn on old fights all the time just for fun, just because that's what I like to do. And the difference is now I get paid to do it. So, how could that be compromising for my career at all? And, and it's not like, I haven't worked any shows through this camp. It's never interfered with my training. It's like, I've worked as an analyst during this pandemic. And so I've been going to Las Vegas a bunch. I train in Las Vegas a lot. The UFC PI is right there. So every single day I'm able to go work out. I'm able to go train. And even if I was on the road at different shows all around the world, there's different training partners, different coaches, and different opportunities to train with different people and get different looks at all these events. So I think it just depends on the person, but it depends on the person. For me, it's no hindrance. It's so benefit to me. I look at it as it's very beneficial. And I don't think any guy the guys that are committed to it wouldn't do it if it was going to hamper their fighting career.
Okay, that's good to hear. Thank you for your time. Good luck with fight night.
Thanks, sir. God, am I
Today, Michael. Thank you.